Rachel and Latex Lil, two ladies I've spoken to before with regards to the Hollie Greig hoax, and they've brought some information to my attention. 3rd of December 2012, and alright ladies, you take it away, tell me what you've got.
Okay, hi, well, I was asked by a friend of mine to join a website recently to tell of our experiences to do with investigating the Hollie Greig story. And this website is called Above Top Secret, and if you were to put into Google biggest conspiracy website on the internet, you will get Above Top Secret. Millions of members and viewers and blah 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 across the world. And I was asked by a friend who's been a member there for many years, who actually is post-banned from posting on that site, but that's a slight other story, again involving Hollie Greig, which I'll go into later. But anyway, they said it's a huge audience, it's a great place to try and get this story across, so why don't you join up and tell of your experiences? So I said, okay, you know, I'll do this. So I signed up, and the way the website works is to be able to create a thread, you have to post 20 times. And the best way to do this, I was told, is to make an introduction thread where you say, hi, I'm so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to make 20 posts, and then I've got a really interesting story to tell you. And so I created a thread. I called it, hello, I was asked to join here, or something. My introduction thread said this. I understand I have to make 20 posts before I can make a thread on the reason I have joined here, so here is my introduction thread. I will shortly be bringing you the story of an investigation carried out by several people for the last few years into the sickening and disgusting story of an alleged paedophile ring, and I hope that you will consider the grave consequences of what myself and others will be presenting to you. It will shock you to the core that it was allowed to happen and nothing can be done about it. I hope this is treated with the respect that it deserves. So that was my opening thread. And okay. I very quickly got a lot of people welcoming me to the site and saying that they were very much interested in what I had to say, to hear my story. Of course, you have to bear in mind that the Jimmy Savile story has also recently just come out, and this website is full of stories of Jimmy Savile. It's also full of stories about named politicians that have been accused of being paedophiles. So this happened around the same time, so bear that in mind. You know, I'll give this address at the end so you can go and have a look and read all the messages that people were, you know, excitedly looking forward to what I had to say. So after several pages, I managed to get my 20 posts. So I'm like, right, okay. So I'd already, because somebody suggested, write it out and do it in a notepad or something first so that you don't lose the information if you post it and it's a bit too long. So anyway, I was putting all this information together of what I wanted to say in my first thread post. And I said this when I got my 20 posts. The original, in brackets, story. Several years ago, a man was arrested in Aberdeen. For the majority of people, this would be the first time they had heard about the story of the abuse of Hollie Greig, who is a Down syndrome sufferer, by an alleged paedophile ring in Scotland. The story was absolutely shocking and told of an immense cover-up which went right to the top, with the collusion of the police, doctors, care workers, the school she attended, etc. Even the BBC were involved in the cover-up. Threats were made to the journalist investigating Hollie's story, and he had to drop it. A D-notice was placed by the government which prevented the media from reporting anything about this story, and had to flee from Scotland and move to Shropshire to avoid being persecuted. A psychologist declared her sane. Documents backing up the story were distributed to various sources, and many interviews were given on radio and TV broadcasts all over the internet, with the arrested man Robert Green and the mother Anne Greig, accompanied by her daughter Hollie. In each interview, the horrific story was laid out of how Hollie had been abused by a paedophile ring alongside other children, held down by the women while the men raped them, and of how Anne had tried to get anybody to listen and investigate her story, and how she had been forcibly sectioned in a mental hospital because of it, whilst her daughter was handing back to her paedophile father. The BBC were commissioned for Panorama to cover the story, but Mark Daly was threatened by those at the top and told to drop the story. Robert Greene even went to Parliament to tell some selected MPs about how Hollie had been witness to a ritual sacrifice of a man. Tens of thousands of people took to the internet and joined the Facebook group in disgust, and many of them carried out their own leaflet drops, telephoning and emailing anyone and everyone they could, including every single politician in England and Scotland, Esther Ranson, who created Childline, and all the main newspapers. They organised demonstrations and gave out leaflets naming those filthy paedophiles, posting their names and addresses on any website they could find also. Then, in an attempt to shut them up, Robert Greene was jailed and Anne was taken to the High Court in London, where restrictions have been placed on her not to speak publicly about this, or they will take Hollie away from her. Her fate is still waiting to be decided. Shocking story, isn't it? Doesn't it make you angry and disgusted? Doesn't it make you want to help somehow? Well, that is what several people decided to do, and what they uncovered made them so angry that they decided to speak out publicly about it. Since then, they have been harassed and lied about all over the internet, shunned by self-proclaimed truth seekers. Each person reached the same conclusion at different times, and eventually they all got together and put all the pieces of the story together. And so, this is the opening post which lays out the story which we all investigated. Bear in mind that we have an immense amount of information to put over, and that the timeline will jump around a bit as we try and put all the pieces of information here. We will back up all our claims whenever possible with real and documented proof. Provide phone numbers where necessary so that information can be checked, which we urge everyone to do, and we welcome reasonable and rational debate on the story. So welcome to what I hope will be the first of a very well-researched and informative thread on why we believe the Hollie Greig story is a hoax, plus other interesting information we learned along the way, and the wider implication concerning those involved and what they stand to gain. Okay, so that was my opening post.
Interesting,
It was
okay.
immediately put into the trash bin.
Yeah, within seconds.
Yeah, within seconds. Now, luckily, one or two of the people that had seen this opening post had managed to see it, and one of them even found that you could view it in cache, I presume Google Cache. He said, you know, if you go and look at it, you can actually see what the opening post was. And I was sent a private message saying it was necessary to move a thread you created titled Our Investigation into a Paedophile Ring, which was originally posted in the General Conspiracies Forum, to the trash bin. Intrepid, who's a moderator or super moderator there or something, has initiated the action and included the message about it. And apparently I must have broken some terms or condition or whatever, to which I asked, you know, why has this been moved? And I said, look, this information is new here and not been posted before. And he said, there may be legal ramifications involved in this. We will need the owners to okay this before it can continue. I will let you know. Now that's really interesting, because I haven't seen any thread that's alleged politician or anyone connected to Jimmy Savile that is being named publicly to have been removed. So why would there be a legal ramification to this?
Good point. Yeah, exactly.
You know, because all I'm saying is and they kept, you know, the answers were, well, they said, you have obviously put a lot of time into this. Give us a little time to determine whether it will be allowed on apps. Now, why shouldn't? It's a conspiracy. It's like, hey, look, we're a group that investigated this thing that was supposed to be one conspiracy, and we found actually that it was entirely another sort of conspiracy. And I replied and said, I'm well aware of any legal ramifications and can assure you that nothing I say or present will be in any violation of your terms and conditions. In fact, there is information that we could present that we could not publicly do so because of the legal ramifications. This is documentation that was recently provided to us but was never made public, so we would not do so either. Everything we say is already in the public domain, and the people we will name are those publicly involved in the campaign to promote this story. We also hope that some of those accused will join us to put their side, and they have absolutely no problem with us whatsoever, and know that we have the highest integrity in what we present. So, again, I got a reply back, and again it was just, well, sit and wait, and I said yes. It is 3 years worth of very in-depth investigation, and I said everything is already in public domain and all the people we name are publicly promoting the story, or we have their permission to name them. So there is absolutely no legal problem at all that they could not put this here. And the flippant reply was 3 years, then a couple of hours or even a day won't make a problem then.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's curious.
But didn't they want you to put it on that? There's another thread on there.
We'll get to that bit later, because they kept trying to say there might be legal ramifications, which is a pathetic argument on their side when they are allowing people to be named politicians and you know, people that were involved with Jimmy Savile throughout his career.
Yeah, no, there's clear hypocrisy there. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, I brought up in my introduction thread, I happened to make a comment about how strange this was, because the member that actually invited me to come and join onto Above Top Secret, as I mentioned at the beginning, has actually been post-banned by Above Top Secret for, again, trying to bring this story to light. And basically what happened was somebody posted a thread about Hollie Greig a couple of years ago and said, oh, this is a terrible story and blah, 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 blah. And this person's, you know, because they knew a lot of information and believed the story to be a hoax because of this information, they decided to post and put their experiences and tell why. And they gave proof and telephone numbers and blah, blah, you know, did everything that a proper, rational, normal person should. You know, and they were immediately attacked by several people, at least one, and the other one who has actually changed their minds now on the Hollie Greig story. But one of them, I'm not going to name who it is, but he made a career, literally, of going around and harassing anybody that would question the Hollie Greig story. And for some reason, a moderator became involved in this thread and started removing posts and you know, issuing warnings left, right and centre. But they obviously, when you look at the thread, they started to side with this person who was attacking the member who had come just to tell their story and say, look, this is what I discovered. And in the end, this member got post-banned for simply trying to tell their side of the story. Now, this other member was attacking her all the time and posting irrelevant information, but this was being allowed. And I made a comment about, isn't it funny how, you know, and I'm going to read you actually what the last post on this thread was. They've now removed it, and after having pointed this out, they then closed my introduction thread down because I had mentioned about the post-banning of this other member, which is, you know, how bad is that? Yeah. So anyway, this is a post that has been allowed to sit there since September, I think. It actually says 9th of the 10th, but it's an American time format. So it's actually the 10th of September this post was made. Okay. And this post says, because one of the terms and conditions, blah, blah, is that you're not allowed to attack another member or have a go at them or be nasty or horrible or whatever, you know. So this post was allowed up until the point that I mentioned it. It's now been removed, but I copied it, and this is exactly what it said. John fucking Stevenson, you are a sad, sad, sad bastard. So my path leads me here to Ats on the trail of the hoax group. Well done, Ats, you are truly shameful to say the least. I have not read all posts in this thread as of yet, to be honest, as a living victim of Aberdeen's family courts. Yes, this be true, my daughter was abused from birth. I tried to get my daughter help from Maastricht SW Dep in Aberdeen, and wow, what a fucking bunch of faggot cranks that lie and alter what is said in child protection meeting minutes. But hey, what the fuck, me, want to see the documents? Well, the hell with you. Just like GLW, sad manipulating man, tried to get me to write a blog on my daughter under his stolen kids pish. I smelt a rat a mile away, and that is for sure. If any of you are still in touch with that dirty wee skank, Just ask him about the story he told me about digging bullets out of folks in swamps and putting in fresh rounds for one. Anyway, enough of GLW wanker. I have come here on search of truth and on search of the birth of the Hollie Hoax Group, as I have been on JS's tail for a while now, as to some who's spelled THOIS may come as a shock, but your Zeitshite JS is the tainted, is the twunk behind the Hollie Hoax Group, and yes, blah blah, fucking blah blah dee blah. Here he has been dribbling on commission, for I really hope the cake is tainted for all children that have been removed and abused by Aberdeen's so-called child protection and family courts. Sheriff and Cowan asked social work to get involved, which I at the time thought was a good little, did I know it was so. The case could drag on and back for hell, who the hell cares? Former Sheriff Keenan McCloonan, or however you spell it, said there was an interdict on me which was lies and can be brought back to court. Sheriff Buckfast, alleged rapist, slapped a falsified interdict on me, preventing me from protecting my daughter from abuse. Sheriff Buckfast took my mother's court case, preventing her seeking contact with my daughter. Classic alleged pedo exposed for their faggot tricks. They are a fucking creed that have failed to get me sectioned. Lots of laughing. They have failed to get me done over. Now they have failed to goob me. I have 100% video evidence that their creed has failed in covering up of my daughter, answering a few 3 or 4 simple questions on who abused her, where they abused her, etc. 6-page, both sides A4 complaint to the so-called chief of Grampian Police, annulled by the dicks. See, I am here, unpaid, loss of time, life earnings, sick and tired of those faggots in the Hollie Hoax Group, childish-minded idiots. I got a better education, I know better. I tell you all that you know jack shit about how it feels for a parent on search of justice for the sexual abuse that happened to my child, and how the bastards in Aberdeen from the health, education, social workers, police all close ranks and cover for each other's asses. Hollie will get justice, and the faggots on commission are just going to have to deal with it. But John Stevenson, here I am, just a simple man that had already half exposed you in here, laughing my ass off, link to Disclosed TV. Who gives a shit about a spell check? Sleep well, faggots, my services are for nada. P.S. Wow, app sucks for posting as well as navigating compared to DTV. Edit again. I wanted to, for fuck's sake, edit again, no reason given. And we know who posted that. That was Malcolm Ogilvie.
Yes, I know the character you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is also the character that made up a fake story about how he was arrested for even daring to mention the Hollie Greig case whilst outside a nightclub?
Oh, that was his brother Gus.
No, that was his brother Gus, who was arrested for breaking peace, I think, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Because he was pissing people off about it, you know, because a lot of people in Aberdeen are fed up with this. But I think actually he was the one who was outside the prison, wasn't he? Who saw Wynn's son. Wynn's son, her real son, not the
not John.
John, who doesn't actually exist, that Hollie named. But he was one of those shouting. He actually, I think, put details of his registration, his vehicle registration.
Yes, the vehicle registration. Yeah.
Now this guy was supposed to be one of the victims of this so-called paedophile ring, and yet he's there saying, "Oh, he goes to fucking jail." And
he'll soon be inside. Lock him up. It's like, well, why do you want to lock a victim up?
Yeah, I mean that's how mentally gone these people are in the head. So anyway, so that post was allowed.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, it was attacking another person.
No, it's vile. It's vile. It's beyond actually. If someone posted something like that on my Facebook, I'd be deleted immediately.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said,
wouldn't be so bad if you could understand it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not. It's not even worth listening to.
Yeah, but they closed down my introduction thread So nobody else was allowed to post on there. I couldn't post on there anymore about it. And all I did was simply mention that another member had been post-banned exactly the same thing as trying to bring this Hollie Greig story into the light and their personal experience of it. Now, the funny thing was, this Hollie Greig story that was originally posted there was called Hollie Greig UK Media Blackout Will Not Hold Back the Truth. Now, this, after it all started to kick off there and people were getting banned left, right and centre and this thread was actually moved to another section above Top Secret. Now, they have this other website called Below Top Secret, and this is all for off-topic stuff, non-conspiratorial. It's where you can go and tell jokes, talk about your favourite TV programmes, you know, general chit-chat that's supposed to be non-conspiratorial. This thread was moved into the off-topic people section. Now, I'm just going to read to you the description of the people section.
We record.
Yes, I joined up as well because I thought, well, it would be a fantastic opportunity.
Did you have to pay? I thought Above Top Secret was a paying website.
No, you don't have to pay.
Okay.
They have a hell of a lot of adverts there.
Okay,
Yeah,
alright. I think when I once looked at it before, I thought it was a paying website, which is why I never joined it. But however, I do actually have a book released by Above Top Secret, which I read and thought was a load of shite and gave to my mother, because this book that I got, Above Top Secret, funny enough, the route that it came to me through someone who I've since gone, okay, they're not totally trustworthy. But bottom line is that you read in there, and what it is, and it's something that I've learned with dealing with Dr. Judy Wood, is she's categorically been able to identify a false cover-up. In other words, a false, you know, she says they plan 9/11, you don't think they plan the cover-up. In other words, the conspiracy behind a conspiracy. A planned conspiracy. So now we know, we've now seen examples of this brought to light by someone who's presenting evidence of it. Okay, it's not just, okay, it's various people giving evidence in, say, for example, with the Hollie Greig case. We've seen proof of it. We now know there is another level. It's not just the truth movement and those who control us. There are levels of controlled opposition within this. And what I've realized is, there are certain stories which are touched so superficially, and this is what this book, Above Top Secret, published. They had all the topics like 9/11, UFO cover-up, all that touched on so superficially. It's just like to give people a taster and keep people at one level of information. And the stuff that they talk about, you can pretty much find out within a day. People actually spend a bit of time digging and going into things, actually find out that there's a whole other vein of stuff going on that's not being discussed and won't be discussed, because part of the truth movement is in fact a psyops.
Well, I mean, you know, it just all boils down to the fact that, you know, Above Top Secret love things that cannot be proved. It's all right to talk about, you know, UFOs and various things like that, because it cannot be proved. But you put something on there that can actually be proved, and they don't want to know.
But this is you know, interesting with this particular story. I mean, I can't speak for others. I can obviously see they have bias in certain areas, or that might just to be whatever moderator or whatever. But what is it about this Hollie Greig story that people don't want to touch or don't want to know? But anyway, I have found this one that they eventually agreed to, because I kept saying there's absolutely no reason that you can not allow this story here, because everybody that I'm naming has already thrown their hat in there publicly and willingly, so there's no reason that I wouldn't be breaking any terms and conditions. I wouldn't be breaking any law. I know what legally I can put there and what I can't put there, so you have no reason whatsoever. So eventually they did decide that I would be allowed to post this story, but they said I had to post it in this other thread that existed from the other year. Now, this other thread was a pro-Hollie Greig thread. And I don't know if you've ever been on an internet website thread and you start to read it, and then some people start fighting, and at that point you just you don't want to know anymore.
Yeah, you lose interest.
Second page, you just don't.
You get as far as the second page.
Yeah.
Well, you know, very, very, very good.
Not even that sometimes.
Yeah. Now, this original thread, let me just check on this, I think actually went into 13 pages.
13 I think it topped 14 eventually.
No, 13.
Oh, was it 13?
Now. So, you tell me that I'm supposed to continue posting on this pro-Hollie Greig story when I have got an entirely different version. It's not pro-Hollie Greig, it's an investigation into the Hollie Greig story and what we also uncovered about people like Belinda McKenzie and Brian Garish and people like that. So it's not the same subject. Now, I was told I can post in this, carrying on page 13, where most people would give up reading by page 3 if they're really gonna string it out. I can't see anyone reading all the way through to get to my post. So that's a deliberate ploy.
Yes, I absolutely agree.
But now this is what I actually replied to Intrepid, the super moderator. Thank you for allowing our side of the story to be told. However, I don't understand why I must post in a thread which is supporting Anne's version, when ours is an entirely different take, covering many other issues, and it really deserves to be in a thread in its own right, rather than being hidden away amongst others. How many different threads here are on Ginny Savile already, which is really one story, and politicians? Why is it one rule for these threads about the same story, but not this particular story? I would also ask that you show our group and the subject matter the respect that the issue deserves, and move the original thread you want me to post in, if I must post there only, out of your off-topic, below top secret area, where it was moved and hidden away for whatever reason into the people section, whose remit states, if you are into celebrities, this is the place for you. The People Forum is the place on the above network for news and discussion regarding the famous and infamous. Get that?
Yeah.
I'm sure you will understand that whatever side of the fence you take on this issue, and from whatever side of the conspiracy you choose to believe, it should not be in this section with the likes of stories about Lady Gaga and people's favourite TV stars. You could at least show the seriousness of our allegations that much respect. Thank you. And they totally ignored that. So I just thought, excuse me, but fuck you. If you are an APS member listening to this broadcast now, seriously, guys and girls, ask, demand for better. This is a real and genuine conspiracy. This involved and ruined many people's lives, and what we uncovered along the way is really shocking.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when it comes to the so-called truth movement. And if you are into conspiracies, which anyone who joined up on that website should be into, you should be demanding better quality. You should be demanding that a serious subject like that is not treated in that fashion. Ask yourself why they treated it in that fashion.
Yeah. Look, you brought up some very good points. As someone who knows what's going on completely from in terms of the controlled opposition, Above Top Secret is something that, a website that I finger pointed 3 years ago as dubious and questionable, just based on the content and the way things were dealt with. And you now coming to us this information, thank you very much, actually has just backed that up. It's not one that we've brought to people's attention before, but it's certainly no surprise to us based on what we already know.
Right, well, ignoring the fact of how they have treated this subject, and again, APS members, if you're out there, I'm appealing to you to sit and think about this. This is a subject involving such a horrific Section 8 situation, and the fact that they will not give it the respect that it deserves. They want to shove it away and hide it. They don't want it openly discussed. But, can you imagine, you know, that something as serious should be put in with the likes of Lady Gaga and, you know, what happened on your favourite
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's actually insulting to poor Sylvia and Wynne.
Insult.
Now, I just want to say, with regards to this now obviously coming out, Rachel, you've obviously now noticed how this pattern has developed with regards to the certain media who will cover it, like the really independent, you know, sort of alternative media journalists who are very small and underfunded, just have little shows here and there. But you've noticed people with the bigger setups, like the Above Top Secret. I mean, a forum setup's expensive. I can't afford it on my website.
Yeah,
you know,
well, who knows who's backing them, because they certainly won't tell you. There's someone put a lot of money into them. But I'll tell you something interesting that I discovered about them recently.
Ooh.
Because you know us, Mel.
Yeah.
If we get our, you know, a little bee in our bonnet about something,
yes.
and the way they treated my post about something so serious really did irk me, you know. And I thought, okay, then, you know, what is it with you? So I started doing a little digging around, and I found something really interesting. Did you know that...
There's no stopping us once we get going.
I love it.
The things that we dig up about people when we want to. The wife of one of the owners of Above Top Secret works for Halliburton.
Okay.
And you know about Halliburton?
Yes, I know Halliburton. It's a Dick Cheney's company.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and I mean, massive arms contractor. They basically billions worth of arms out to war-torn parts of the world every year.
Yeah, not just arms. They've also been involved in.
They're building in Afghanistan, or they have been. Part of the Halliburton company have been building. You know, messes and huts and various things in Afghanistan for a few years too.
Oh, I'll tell you what else Halliburton were involved in. The FEMA camps set up for the hurricane people that were affected by the hurricanes. Now, there was one, which hurricane was it several years ago?
Katrina, was it?
Katrina, yeah. Now, coincidentally, a huge thread was started by the wife of one of the owners of Above Top Secret, and it was called "I Just Got Back from a FEMA Detainment Camp." Yeah, Hurricane Katrina.
Okay.
So with her local church, they went to go and check out, and this grew into a huge thread, which I think was supposedly at first supposed to be all, oh no, it's terrible, you know, concentration camp, blah blah blah, and then it turned into oh how lovely they are, you know, it's all going well and happy there. But yeah, isn't it coincidental?
No, it's not. It makes perfect sense. Come on now, girls. Tell me.
It would make a thread about the FEMA detainment camp, which was built by Halliburton, because FEMA gave the contract to build the detainment camps to Halliburton.
Well done, ladies. Nice one.
Subsidiaries, two of them have been involved in, like I said, sex trafficking and child prostitution, and also the murder of several people.
Holy crap. I'm loving this.
You know, think about it, people, you know. Do you really think that a company like Halliburton would like the owner's wife to be working for or posting on one of the biggest or the biggest conspiracy website? And why is it that they don't want to tell you who's funding the money for them?
Oh, I can't believe it. You know what? Thank you so much for this. This is brilliant. I can't believe it. I can't believe this. Okay, a million thoughts running here. First off, I've been banging on for a while now. I was approached by Vince of TNS Radio going on, why are you going on about Brian Garish? And then I went and spoke to him, and I said to him, look, the people that fund the UK column basically were responsible for genocide of my ancestors in South Africa, and I have an issue with that. And he goes, yes, but you know, that was so long ago, and you can't really say that, you know, Sheila Butler comes from genocide money. And to be honest with you, it is important where the money comes from that sets up these various media networks and organizations. And this is the best example of why.
Yeah. I know. Once you start digging, it's amazing what you find.
See, because I have been saying for a while, and I know, Rachel, you've heard me say that the large parts of the truth movement are a psyops. The Hollie Greig case made that very clear to me. We're not all in it for truth. There is another agenda here, and we picked up on that early. I mean, I picked up on this when I went in Edinburgh, that conference in Edinburgh in 2010, and I wasn't let in. It was then that I knew deep down that there is a schism here. I'm operating from a different place to some of these other people. What's the real agenda behind this whole thing they call the wake-up call and the truth movement and all of this that's going on, that I really want to be a part of because I thought it was a good and noble cause. But there is a deliberate attempt to hijack the truth from true truthers. And
well, I think, as I said, it just all boils down to the fact that everybody is happy in the truth movement. All the time there are subjects and issues that just cannot be proved.
Yeah, as long
you bring something along that can be proved and they don't want to know.
No.
They just don't want to know.
Once it becomes true and provable.
They don't want to know.
Very good point.
Let's tell people things without providing them with any evidence or any proof. We'll keep it like that because it makes hits on the website and money in the tin. Let's keep it so that it cannot be provable. But as soon as you come along with something that you can prove, they don't want to know.
Let me tell you something.
They don't want to know the truth.
For sure.
It's shocking.
Bill Ryan once said something to me. I have to tell this at this juncture because it's so relevant. I once said to him, since you've exposed so much sort of black ops people and you guys have really put out some pretty intense information from people who've come supposedly from the inside, whether they're from the real, I question a lot of the Camelot people, but anyway, from Project Camelot. But Bill said to me, the reason why, and he said, and I've been told this from people on the inside, agency people, he said, the reason why they haven't come for us is because we don't put any direct proof out.
Well, I'm just going to send you a few links that you can put up alongside this. So if anyone wants to go and check to see whether I'm lying or not, about the Veld Hall, who, funnily enough, has the same name as a BP oil field or platform, whether she is or not who I say she is. She works for Halliburton. She's got several patents under her name with Halliburton. Wow. And her address is exactly the same as hers and her husband in Comanche in Oklahoma.
Okay. All right, so
links, people can check this up. So you know us. If we say something is true and provable, it's true and provable.
This is the sort of thing we need to be putting up because everything, although it all ties into each other, okay, Hollie Greig and everything, and of course we'll put links through to the Hollie Greig Hoax website and stuff, we need to actually start putting across a platform for debunking these kind of websites with the amount of information that is being dug up on them for things like this. And it's very clear the Hollie Greig thing needs to be used. We now know we need to approach as many mainstream platforms as we can, and the ones who reject this are the ones who are clearly working within some kind of controlled opposition paradigm. It's very obvious. I mean, the pattern is too obvious to ignore now. And especially since you've dug up all this.
It just hit me one day when I was reading through ATS, after all this happened.
Yeah.
And I just thought, all of these threads, so many threads, thousands of them, all about, I saw a UFO today. And it goes on for pages and pages, and at the end of it there is still no conclusion, and that's fantastic because it keeps people there. It keeps people,
it's time wasting.
Numbers on the website. But they have this mantra there. It's like Pixar, it didn't happen. Well, here we are. We have a fully proven, documented. You can go and talk to the people involved. You can talk to those accused. You can ring up the numbers of, the police.
Talk to us. You're more than welcome to speak to people.
You can speak to all of these people and confirm that what we're saying is true. And they're not interested.
No, they don't want to know the truth.
No, that's a very good point. Yeah, absolutely. I've been saying this for a while, but it's good. It's thanks for this research, ladies. This has been a very worthwhile dig. What amazes me is that there is still so much campaigning for Hollie going on after this has pretty much been debunked. And
they're coming out. Yeah, well, they're coming out with the new stories now, aren't they? They're retracting. They're retracting a lot and adding a little bit more. Trying to make it a little bit more credible. I think they realised that they peaked at one point by trying to add on satanics, the satanic side. And
that's when David Icke got involved. Let me tell you, I read the article David Icke wrote, and he clearly made the link to satanic, because he even mentioned in there that satanic pedophile network rings make pedophile porn films with Down syndrome children. He even named a few of them. And you know where he got the names of them from? He got them from, because I've got the book, Human Race, Get Off Your Knees. It's a document, it's an appendix at the back of this book, which was apparently a deathbed confession of a Satanist, who names the same film about Down syndrome children being used, and Down syndrome dummies, bangs. It's horrific. I can't even repeat the name, or nor do I wish to remember it, but it is an actual name he used in this article, which actually comes from a deathbed confession of a Satanist. So there is the distinctive link. I can prove it from the book. I've got it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he mentioned this film that they did. There are people who use Down syndrome children in porn films, and they said linked to satanic rings. So yes, he made that link very clearly. So I'm so glad they've retracted now. And to be honest with you, David Icke should be pulled up on that.
Yes, he should.
Because to be honest with you,
things he should be pulled up on.
Jeez, I've pulled him up. Do you know what? Let me tell you, ladies, I did my first radio show of the year. I went all out on David Icke, and I said, look, I'm so sick of people, the contradiction. I want people to understand where we stand on him. We've interviewed him once. I liked him once for a while, but since this is why I've changed, because of the information I've collected. I did this piece. It had not received 240 views when I had an article posted by David Icke in his newsletter, that went out in his newsletter, which is not even written by him, by the way. But basically, I've had someone contact me like in the last week claiming they've got evidence that his newsletters aren't even written by him. But what they've done, what he did was he wrote this article with the title, "We Need Integrity and Maturity, but We Get the Terrible Twos." And I had a picture of Calvin and Hobbes, a cartoon character, okay, referencing myself and my partner Richard, which if you've ever met us is just simply not the way you would ever reference us. Clearly it wasn't written by him. Okay, and he just went on to absolutely slate us, didn't answer any of the things I put across to him on this radio show, which had only got 240 views when the article was sent to me by somebody else from his website.
Yeah.
And I was amazed that it had only taken 240 views before David Icke had posted an article about what I had said and questions I'd asked, which he never actually answered the questions. He just went on a slagging fest against us.
Well, it's funny because somebody pointed out to me the other day, and it's quite true. People like David Icke, Garish, Robert Greene, they all stand there and they tell you there's no interaction, there's no questions. They don't open themselves up to live questions.
Yeah.
They just sit and tell you.
That's true. Do you know, I've noticed this about people, and it's a control tactic. Sometimes I go to lectures. Those lecturers at the end then go, sorry, no questions. They're the ones that have been stood there. They've told you something. You've absorbed it, and then you're now not allowed to question. And one of the people I'm busy questioning at the moment, which is a South African guy called Michael Tellinger, at the very first lecture I ever went to, that's what he did. At the moment, he's trying to launch a new political party in South Africa, claiming to be about redistributing the wealth and decentralizing power, but it's backed by people like Desmond Tutu, who I've done pieces about recently, pushing vaccinations as a puppet of the Medical Knowledge Institute, and he's got so many knighthoods. So there's a direct contradiction in a lot of these things, and there seems, and people need to be aware, there is a wonderful thing going, the awakening happening, but it's also been seized upon, and people's sort of whole spiritual journey has been pretty much hijacked with such nasty disinformation, and it's quite sad. And I have put myself out trying to get across a lot of this information and help myself deconfuse myself from a lot of it and share that journey with people. And I don't always get it right the first time, but there is more to know, and everything shouldn't be taken at face value. And once again, can't stress the integrity and importance of direct evidence.
Well, that's what we deal in.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah.
If we do make a claim, I mean, there are some things that we have said that we cannot back up physically at the moment because of data protection. We received some documents anonymously, and we can't publish them because of the data protection, which is a shame, because I think if everybody had what we had to read, I think they would very quickly change their minds.
The problem is that the documents that we have already published were given to people by Anne herself.
Yes, because I actually phoned the data protection.
Quite happy for all that information to in the public domain until the point where people started picking it apart. And then they were not happy that it showed that they'd been lying.
But when I phoned them, I explained the situation, and the guy at the other end of the line said, if you hand your documents out, you cannot then claim data protection because you have handed them out. So, you know, all the old documents that have been put online, they've been online for ages.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and as Lil said, you know, once we started looking at them and picking them apart and realising that they didn't actually say what Anne and Robert were claiming they said, not when you read them. That's when, you know, Anne and Robert was sort of like fighting and saying that we were putting out lies, but that's not the case. It's not the case. And the guy, the data protection said, you know, if you yourself hand documents out, especially if you put them, you know, on a blog or on the internet, then you can't claim data protection.
Yeah, because you willingly did that.
Because you willingly did it.
Now,
you've offered your information, so it's not protected.
Yeah, the other documents that we recently received, we were never given online, or it appears were never given to anyone. And because no one seems to know about this information, because if they did, it would just blow Anne's story totally out of the water. And we can't verify every single one of them, but we can and did verify one document, because it's the only one that we can prove is genuine, really. So we spoke to the police, because they're the only people who could confirm this, and said, look, this document we've been given contains this information. And it was never made public, but we know you can't discuss it, but you can give us a yes or no. Did Hollie's interview name these people? And the police came back and said yes. So we know that document is genuine.
So we presume the others are too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And as I said, you know, if they were released, I think there'd be a lot of shocked people around.
But again, you know, this is, you know, if anyone is interested, we'll give you the phone number of the police where you can check. They will verify that we asked if this document was genuine, and they can confirm, yes, it's genuine.
Wow. Okay.
So it's not us that's lying. You know, everything we say, we can back up. When we say something, we will document it. If we say it's true, it's true. Again, you know, with the Hollie support team, they will not debate with us. They will not show you any proof. In fact, people like Belinda don't even seem aware of most of the information.
Yeah.
But then,
no, I think one thing I did point out was when she was outside the BBC, she claims that Hollie's interview in 2000 and 2009 were I think Belinda says something like word perfect or word for word. Oh no, it's not.
well, Belinda,
she hasn't seen them all. She's lying.
If you're listening, yes,
Yeah.
Ebony, Latex Lil, you know, the one that you saying lots of things about on the internet recently.
Yeah, I was gutted. I didn't get mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Ladies, do I ever get mentioned? I don't pay any attention.
I don't care. I don't really.
I don't care either. You know, honestly.
If you're listening, you know, we challenge you any place, any time to come and debate with us, because we know you've not seen this information. We know you talk bullshit. We know you lie. We can prove it. And we will take any opportunity to do so. So you can stand there and say whatever you like about us, because it doesn't faze us. You have no proof of anything. You just garble this verbal diarrhea of this story. You repeat things that have been proven not to be true.
Yeah.
Absolutely proven not to be true. Yet you still repeat it.
Yeah.
Why? You're either mentally ill yourself and you need help, or you're in it for another reason.
Yeah. Well,
that's a really interesting reason, isn't it, Belinda?
Both of the above.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a common connection between mental ill health and agency operatives. I only need to say the name David Shaler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, her links to MI5.
Yeah.
Her tutor at university, who was well into spying. all your little pies that you've got fingers in, and yeah, you're still collecting money for Star Child, even though you've not got anything to do with it anymore, aren't you, Belinda? So that would be a good one to ask, Belinda. Can you actually show us where the money for the Star Child skull investigation went to? Surely you went to pay for a laboratory. You must have got a receipt or paid them by cheque or, you know, credit card. Can you show us where that money went?
Yeah.
Or even better, show us where the 75 million went.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
75 million that went missing, and isn't that weird how no one wants to touch that story either?
No, it's
so
funny.
If you want to overthrow a government or destabilise them because you want to supply their opposition with arms, yeah, what do? You set up a charity or a fake company or something, and then when someone tries investigating why £75 million disappeared into thin air, no one wants to know. There was no police investigation. Why? Is it so easy to set up a charity and fleece people? And here's an interesting point. Jimmy Savile, saviour for all those years, only managed in his lifetime to collect 45 million for charity.
Wow. How much did he make? Out of interest. Probably, I reckon he probably made over $1 billion in his lifetime.
Yeah, but he's been famous for how long?
A long time.
And he only managed, Jimmy Savile, there was not one single person in this country that did not know who Jimmy Savile was. He did so much work for charity, yet he, in his lifetime, and all he ever did was like TV shows and charity, and then abuse kids on the side. But in his lifetime, he only managed to get 45 quid. So, now...
And how long was Belinda's charity going? And she managed 75?
Yes, for a charity that, let's face it, a lot of people wouldn't have given money for Iran. Because foreigners in the Middle East, you know. So you will find a lot of people would not give money, but a government would if it wanted to fund arms. And let's face it, MKO, let's have a look at their history.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, a lot of countries deem them terrorists, and we did for a while.
Yeah. Interesting stuff, ladies. Wow. Okay.